Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Deal, a game we've had circled for a very long time. Miami going on the road playing Florida State, Doak Campbell Stadium, Saturday night. If you are a college football fan that thinks this game matters less because Florida State just lost to Virginia, number one, you out your damn mind. Number two, you're probably not really a college football fan. This is going to be an electric environment between two fan bases that really don't like each other. And Dill, before we even get into this game preview, I'm just going to invite the Miami fans, the Florida State fans, go ahead and get rowdy in the comment section. This is what college football is about. This is what this game is about. Two fan bases that have been really awesome to the boys over the last couple of years. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Please, please, please. I cannot wait to read the comments over the next couple of days. Let it fly in the comment section. Dill, without further ado, this is where you have to start with this football game. What does it look like along the lines of scrimmage? Specifically when Miami's on offense, because I think this might be the best offensive line that you see in the country. And they can run the football just about as good as anybody in the country. And Dill, when Carson Beck is clean, and Miami's done a hell of a job keeping him clean to start 2025, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. My biggest concern, this is the best offensive line that Florida State has seen. And we just saw Florida State go on the road against Virginia, struggle to stop the run, struggle to affect the passer with their front four. If they can't do that in this game, you feel like it could be a very long night for Florida State on the defensive side of the football.
And that's where they're just going to have to get straight up creative. Because I don't know, do they have the talent in their front four or front three, whatever set they're going to play in this game to really be impactful? I don't know. That you kind of knew coming into this year, like you maybe neglected that position. You didn't develop it well enough. You didn't recruit it well enough. And Ian, you see some young guys playing good football.
Yes, agreed.
You see your brothers playing, like you got some fun players. Yes. But I do think like this is where you got to get creative with your secondary, probably your safety specifically, because Earl Little and Ashlyn Baker are really interesting players who, frankly, when Florida State's defense has been at their best, those two have been making a lot of plays. To me,
specifically around the line of scrimmage, Earl Little needs to live in the tackle box on Saturday night. He's really good. I know he wasn't great against Virginia, but he's been very good this year coming up and fitting the run. I think a lot of Florida State fans that follow Florida State closely would probably agree with this statement. You're not stopping Miami's rushing attack with a light box. You need to allocate numbers to the box to be able to support the run. This is where I get concerned if I'm a Florida State fan. It's the depth of the defensive line, Dill. And Kevin Wynn maybe will be back for this game. He's been kind of questionable the last couple of weeks. That could be big for Florida State. Dill, Miami is the third best team in the country in time of possession. They just stay on the football field, and, man, they run the football for 6 yards a pop, and they grind you down, right? Darrell Jackson had to play 66 snaps against Virginia Friday night. Florida State does not have a ton of depth. I don't think they love a guy like KJ Sampson. I don't think they want a guy like KJ Sampson playing a ton of football. If you're Miami, you're trying to string together a lot of those 12-play, 75 yards where you're keeping that Florida State defense on the field and say, hey, we going to make you play 80 snaps in this game.
You got to take some chances if you're Florida State. And I felt like I was a little disappointed, frankly, against that Virginia team that Florida State maybe didn't take as many as they could have. Because, you're going to need to steal some plays. You're going to need to create something negative.
Yes.
I don't think you can rely on your front four to do that necessarily. So to me, you got to get aggressive with secondary blitzes. You got to do something because I can honestly, if I'm Florida State, live with giving up an explosive play here or there. That's frankly okay. I'd much prefer that than give up what you just described and give like 3 straight of those right off the bat.
You can probably live in a little bit more of a shootout game. In fact, if this game looks a little bit more like a shootout, it's probably what you prefer because this Florida State offense is going to keep you in it. Like they have the ability to put points up on the board. Now, we'll get to that side of the football in a second. I completely agree with you. I'd rather give up a 2-play 75-yard touchdown than a 12-play 75-yard touchdown.
And frankly, I think if you're going to pick some poison with this Miami team, I probably live with my boundary corners versus their boundary receivers. Like I get
Yeah.
I get that Malachi
Yep.
Tony's been a monster in the slot.
Yep.
I'm not sure I'm totally terrified of these boundary wide receivers from
It,
Miami, and they've
so
played well. I'm not
that
trying
was
to.
unnecessarily disrespectful to Miami. I think you more just see you can give Florida State's boundary cornerbacks their flowers. Like I think Jerry Wilson's awesome. I think Quandarius Jones is good. I think Jabril Rawls is good. You might like that matchup. I think CJ Daniels has been damn solid for Miami. But if you're Florida State, hey, what matchup do you want to live with? Your front seven against Miami's offensive line? Or do you want to live with your boundary cornerbacks against Miami's pass catchers? You're probably saying, I want to live with my boundary cornerbacks. I'll trust them on islands, but I'm going to do everything I can to stop what Miami can do running the football. Because you best believe Miami's coming on the road and they're going to try to run the football. Dill, through the air, it's interesting that you brought it up. Could this be the game where Elijah Lofton really gets going? And you saw it a little bit against Florida 2 weeks ago. Where does Florida State struggle in coverage, man? And they have historically because they just haven't recruited this position well enough, over the middle of the field. Like I don't love the linebackers dropping back in space. You haven't really leaned on Elijah Lofton a ton because, quite frankly, you've had other wide receivers step up. But I'm looking at specifically this matchup and say, hey, what matchups do we like the most in the passing attack? Elijah Lofton at tight end. I like Malachi Tony working the middle. Hey, can we attack these Florida State linebackers and coverage? That's probably another storyline. If you were to ask me, hey, who are Miami's leading pass catchers in this game? I wouldn't be surprised if the top two are Elijah Lofton and Malachi Tony in this one.
I would agree. I think like your matchup, like if you can get
Yep.
Elijah Herring on one of your tight ends, and Elijah Lofton would certainly be the preferable one, but like Bowman, I think too.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
that's a really tough matchup. Like Elijah Herring, there is just an inherent cap on his ability. Not the greatest athlete in the history of the world.
Yeah.
That's probably a matchup I'm trying to seek out. And frankly, if I can get a Chamar Brown on Elijah Herring too,
Hey,
I love that matchup too because he's been really good out of the back.
Running backs out of the backfield have been very good, especially Chamar Brown. It's a great take. This is Tony White needs to show up, and I say that sounded a little bit harsher than I probably meant it to be. I think Tony White's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. I thought he was downright bad against Virginia. Just didn't think we made any adjustments to try to fix the problems that were being seen. He's going to have a really good plan to try to take away this run game and try to heat up Carson Beck. Because I don't know if you can just man up, beat Miami's offensive line, stopping the run or getting after the passer.
Because they don't make mistakes. I mean, Miami's been a really clean offensive football team. You got to force them. You got to be a little bit more aggressive than what you were against Virginia because that was way too passive.
Can I give you
realize your defensive line wasn't good enough?
Can I give you another key here that just came to my mind? For some reason, Miami hasn't played a road game yet. But for some reason, the pre-snap penalties have been a little bit of a problem for Miami. Florida State fans, you got to get loud, right? You have to. You got to try to affect this game, right? On the road, night game, it's going to be really loud, ruckus environment. One of the keys here is, all right, if Miami gains 5 on first down, we're sitting in 2nd and 5, we like it. Can you get him to pick up a pre-snap and get him in the 2nd and 10? Like, for some reason, I don't know why, because a veteran offensive line, it's not like you got a bunch of freshmen up there. The pre-snap penalty has been a little bit of a problem. If you're Florida State and that fan base, you're trying to get some pre-snaps here and get Miami behind the chains. Because again, I think Miami's just going to try to road grade you. All right, let's flip sides here. Florida State, very excited for this matchup. This is straight up good on good because Dill, Miami's defense, it'd be fixed, man. Like this is one of the better defenses that we see in the country going up against, say what it is. Florida State's got one of the best offenses in the country.
And schematically, this will probably be the most challenging defense I think Miami's seen. In terms of like, are they going to be fundamentally sound throughout? Because like Notre Dame, I mean, they kind of run right, and they're a really good offense, but they're not wildly creative. They just do what they do at a really high level.
Yes.
And you saw Miami, like from a talent perspective, I mean, that unit's back. Like their defensive line, about as good as you get in the country. Secondary certainly fixed. Linebackers are playing well. What's interesting to me is what Gus Malzahn can do in terms of putting you in conflict and like how well do you understand your rules and your keys in this defense.
And your eyes.
They haven't seen anything like that because Gus Malzahn, I mean, he had Alabama in a blender. He's had pretty much every defense he's played so far in a blender, and Tommy's running this offense well. So that's to me, like, Miami's got the personnel. They're certainly plenty talented enough, but can Florida State kind of get them back to some 2024 miscues in the way that we haven't really seen at all so
Yeah,
far from
I
Miami.
100% agree. Like we said, hey, USF was going to be a little bit of a test. Florida ain't testing you schematically. Billy Napier ain't got a clue what he's doing on offense. But we said USF would be a little bit of a test. I thought Miami passed it. This will be a bigger test. Ain't no doubt, especially on the road, right? What I'm looking at here, team speed for Miami, specifically at the second level. Look, Florida State, they're going to throw a lot at you, a lot of jet sweep stuff, a lot of stuff to the perimeter, and they got guys who can cook, man. Like Mekhi Danzy, one of the he'll be the fastest player on the football field. Him and Xavier Lucas, they can do a little track meet there. Well, how about a guy like Jalen Lucas, burner, right? I'm looking at Miami's linebackers. I love Motori, and I think Motori's played some really good football, specifically in the tackle box. We talk about stack and shed and fit in the run. He's really good in condensed areas. What's he look like chasing, going sideline to sideline? In fact, I wonder if you see a little less Motori in this football game because I don't know if his skill set's the best used for Florida State. Do you maybe bring a guy like Bobby Pruitt into the box? I know he's been playing a little safety, but for a little bit more speed. But I'm looking at that and saying, hey, can Florida State get to the perimeter on Miami? That's a question that I'm looking at in this football game too.
That's where a guy like Keontae Scott's been so good, I feel like, in terms of like getting him back to what he does best, because that's his game. I mean, they had him
He
out there on
loves
the
it, man.
boundary at Auburn in 24, and then everyone forgot, I feel like, how good he is. But like I look at the way he can play and what he can do in that nickel spot, tackling guys in space is the level he does. That he's probably the most important player, and like he's got to come ready to rock and roll because that's who's really going to be tested. Now, to your Mortore thing, I don't know. I love the pairing of Wesley and him. Like, because Wesley definitely is a bit more rangier. Because it's not like Florida State's not going to try to pound you up the middle a little bit. Like they do. Their offensive line played really well, in my opinion. Been able to be physical, run the ball in between the tackles. Usman Chroma, I mean, he runs heavy when he gets going. To me, you still need that like physicality at your other linebacker spot. And I just think you got to rely on guys like Keontae Scott, Zachariah Poyser, Wesley Bassane
Kobe
to be able
Thomas
to cover the ground that they've been able to cover.
Angles are going to be big, right? You don't want to come down and take a bad angle because they got so many guys that if you take a bad angle, they're going to run right by you and they're going to go for 70. This is the most explosive offense in the country. Dill, 7.4 yards per play, 6.6 yards per carry, 9.7 yards per pass attempt. Those are all top 10 metrics in the country. They can be explosive in the run game, and they're very explosive in the pass game. And Dill, that's another story. If you're Miami, just can you limit the explosives? This is a Florida State offense that's pretty damn reliant on hitting some home run plays. Go make Tommy Castellanos execute 12 straight plays. Say, hey, don't take a negative play. Don't turn the football over. Don't take a sack. If you do that and you limit the amount of game-changing plays this Florida State offense can come up with, that's probably one of the biggest keys for Miami.
And it'll be another issue in terms of like room for error. Like, I mean, Tommy's been able to make some plays in some of those like down and distance that he doesn't necessarily thrive in.
Yeah.
I just like if Miami gets him in those spots, the way they can rush the passer,
that's
another real
story.
problem. So I look like Florida State probably doesn't have a ton of wiggle room in this. Like they need to be able to play their game and do it really consistently because they haven't seen a defensive line like what Miami's going to trot out there. Like Bam is a good football team for sure. They don't rush the passer like Miami. They're like different worlds. So it's like
that. Sorry to cut, but I was thinking that I actually had that in my notepad. It's how good is Florida State in pass protection, right? Because they looked the part against Alabama, but like you said, I'm taking Miami's pass rush unit all day. It's not even close. This might be the best pass rush unit that you see in the country between Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain on the outside.
Now, if I'm Florida State, I don't want to necessarily find that out.
No.
I want to be able to play the game they play in terms of like staying on schedule, running the ball at a high level. That to me, like when they do that, they're a real problem to deal with. They've been able to do it pretty much against everyone they play. I do think they probably don't have as much wiggle room as they've had in the past few.
Who starts faster in this game? I feel like it's big for Florida State. Like number one, because I'm looking at it and saying, I don't think this team feels different. I don't think this is going to snowball on Florida State, right? But if you're looking at this game, you want to come out and score and grab a lead early. Like if I'm Mike Norvell and I'm saying, hey, you win the coin toss, you normally defer. We'll take it in the second half. I might be saying, hey, we want ball. Gus Malzahn's a great game scripter. He gonna have 10 plays that are gonna be dynamite. Like go up 7-point lead, get the crowd into it, and kind of get that bad taste of that Virginia loss out of your mouth. It's a really big storyline too. Who starts better? Who wins that first quarter? Big. Let's get into the pick. Miami 6.5 points, 5.5 points on the road favorites against Florida State. Who you got?
I gotta take Miami. And in like
Well,
this
you weren't
line,
sure though. You just come
well,
up with that on the spot.
no,
You
no,
just
because
a
it
gut
does
feeling.
feel like I don't know what would have if you had a crystal ball last night. My crystal ball would have told me this was gonna be like 10 points because I look stylistically. I feel like Miami is such a problem for Florida
Yeah.
State, and they both like have ways to exploit each other.
Yes.
I just look like Miami doesn't have the same holes. I feel like this is a much more complete team. 6.5 smells kind of close to me. I'll still take Miami, but if I'm gambling, man, that number.
I don't believe in that. You believe in the trap numbers. I don't. I just believe, and that's
Yeah, I
probably
do.
why that's probably why I lose all my money. But I look at this game and just say, there's just one team that's so much better along the lines of scrimmage, and there's not as I'll take the outcome that has less variability. You know, when you can dominate the line of scrimmage, I'm going to take that team every single day of the week, right? Florida State, you make no mistake about it, with this Florida State offense, very capable of winning this game. You know, like a turnover or two on Miami or a penalty that knocks you back and you have to punt, all of a sudden that can flip really damn quick, especially at home. But I'm going to go with the team that I have a lot more confidence that can go on the road, run the football, and Dill, with the tempo Florida State likes to run on defense, I feel like you're going to have a decent amount of drives in this game. And I just don't know if Florida State has the defensive line to hold up for 4 quarters against this Miami rushing attack. Miami's deeper. They're better along the lines of scrimmage. I think they have a quarterback that in this spot, as good as Tommy Castellanos has been in this spot, I think I trust more, especially with the way they'll be able to protect them. I'm going to take Miami. Going to be, you kind of know this is going to be a fun one, right? I'll take Miami. You're on Miami. Florida State fans, y'all let us have in the comment section. Miami fans, I would love to hear. Let it fly. Let it fly in the comment section. Best way to put it. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.